everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very special guest here for the show today, but we are trying out something different today. Today, we are not only on Instagram together, but we're on YouNow and we're on several different of my platforms. So, thank you, and it's an honor for you taking me out of my shell, Mr. Rudin.
My pleasure. It's what I do. It's what I help people with.
So let's start with the basics. I pronounced your last name, but what is your first name, last name, and where are you from?
Sure, Kimberly. It's Glenn Rudin, and I am from Long Island outside of New York.
And can we talk about your past, your long history past leading up into your present?
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure to tell everybody about the things that I've been up to for, I won't say how many years, but certainly for a while.
Okay. And do you have any degrees or like tell me a little bit about your degrees and what your business is today?
Sure. So my degree is from the University of Maryland in College Park. That's outside of Washington, D.C. And it's a degree in business management, which has served me well in terms of basics and what I do. And I have spent my career, the last 30 plus years, as what I would call a product development expert. I help people create, develop, manufacture, and import, and then market and sell their product ideas. And it's something I've been doing for a long time. I've got a long string of products that I've developed over in China with factories that I've been working with for about 15 years. And I love the people that I work with there, and I love the clients that I help here, because that is not an easy thing to figure out. You know, I see people, Kimberly, struggling on places like Alibaba to reach out, spend money developing products with people that they don't know, sending money overseas to people who they're not really even sure what they do. And it pains me when I hear some of the horror stories that I've heard over the last 30 years about people literally losing their deposits or getting products in that weren't products they were expecting to get in. And I take a lot of pride in helping people who've got great product ideas develop those products. And as I mentioned to you in the pre-show, I think about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I realized that people are products. We are products as well. The difference, between us and, a bottle of lotion that you might buy in the store is this little bottle of lotion has got to have a label on it that speaks to what it does. You and I are labeled based on the way we dress and the way we appear, but we've got the ability to speak about who we are, what we do to draw attention to us and where our expertise lies. And that's the big difference between us and the products that you see on shelves in stores. We can speak for ourselves. We can label ourselves. We can be intentional about who we are and what we're trying to do to get people interested in wanting to hear more about us.
I always wanted to go to College Park. I go to the University of Phoenix right now, and to piggyback off you with your products, yes, we do. We need the help we need. People are getting burned at Alibaba. I started to go to Alibaba to get my hair products, and something told me it just doesn't sound right. So tell me, if you had to give an entrepreneur like any insight of how to get to that, give us a blooper or some sort of clue to what an entrepreneur should be doing as being powerful and prestigious like you are and you were doing.
Well, it's interesting. I'm working with a couple of entrepreneurs right now on some really, really interesting products. And these are people who have no experience working with China. And, the first thing that I say to everybody that I come in contact with is the number one rule: whatever you do not spend a dime with anyone overseas until you've actually got a buyer here who's told you that they are really interested in what your product is and that they're really committed to wanting to buy it. A lot of us have ideas, Kimberly, that we've got great products or we've got great ideas, and we may very well have them, but we do have to take some time to work with somebody who's in the space, have a discussion with them, and make sure that what we're seeing is somebody with expertise and experience would be seeing also. So the second rule I'm going to give you for anybody who's listening to this great live show would be paperwork. You've got to have the right paperwork in place before you have discussions with strangers. And the paperwork that you should have in place is called a non-disclosure agreement. You'll hear people speak about that as an NDA. N as in Nancy, D as in doctor, A as in apple, an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That if you're developing a product and you're working with an expert like me, Kimberly, you would send me an NDA, and that NDA would say, listen, I'm not aware of what Kimberly's product is. I've never heard of it before. I'm willing to listen to her, tell me about it and talk about it, but I'm signing an agreement that says, I promise that I will not do anything with this information that is not with Kimberly's approval, and I would not go around her and try to commercialize anything on this without working with her. That non-disclosure agreement is very important. And if you don't get that signed by somebody that you might be working with, you might want to turn around and run for the exit, because that's not a person that you can trust to work with. Somebody who doesn't want to sign an NDA with you is not somebody that you want to be working with.
That is true. I can piggyback off you and say that when I was with a certain place, I have an invention, which I've told everybody already about my invention. That is going to be a cousin to the smoke detector, or a family member of the mother of the smoke detector. And it's going to have artificial intelligence in it, and it's going to have equipment to make sure that it's like going to be a motherboard of equipment in the actual place where they keep their electrical stuff at. And I just wanted to say, it's once again, it's an honor. And if you wanted to, you can explain to the people,
I have noticed your audio stuff there on my phone. I don't know why.
Are you still, can you still hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you on my computer, so we can keep going. I just don't know what happened there.
So if you
No, go ahead. It's back now. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Okay, and you have the floor to explain, because you didn't explain what China do, and I explained to you exactly what happens. I piggyback off you and said what happens when people sit up there and hinder you from trying to be successful. As far as me having, my invention and everything. So you have the floor because you're very well educated. And I just want you to make sure that you tell your story. So the question that I do have for you is, where do you see yourself with everything that you have going on? Where do you see yourself in the future? This isn't just the last question I'm going to ask, though.
Yeah, well, listen, in the future, for the first time in my career, I've started working with groups of people, because sometimes as a private consultant, it can get expensive working, with me based on my hourly rate. And so over the last 3 to 5 months now, I'm in the process of starting to doing group coaching, which is a much more affordable alternative for people who are looking for the experience and the advice that I have to give them, but it's not as expensive as an endeavor as if you were paying me individually to be your coach. So that's something that I'm working on in the future. And of course, I'm always working on my public speaking. I love going around and speaking on the things that I'm passionate about: messaging and branding, elevator pitch, people developing their personas, understanding that they are their brand when they own small companies. These are things that I'm constantly looking for places to go and speak on these topics that I'm so passionate about, Kimberly.
How did you, and thank you, and well said, by the way, and how did you find China? Like, what made, like, you sat up there and you said that you found China and y'all spent 15 years together, plus years together. How? Like, do you give out, like, if you didn't want to give out that secret, I would definitely understand, but can you give us like something to go on, please?
Well, listen, no, there's no secret there. I mean, when I was early in my career, and I realized that I had a real interest and I had a real skill in product development, one of the companies that I worked for was in the business of sourcing their goods from China, and I begged those people to let me go overseas on their behalf and see what the process was like over there. And for whatever reason, they felt I was more valuable to them here on the front end as a marketing sales guy. So when the opportunity came up for me to create my own company and go overseas, the first thing that I did was get on a plane and head to Hong Kong and then head up into China and learn about how the process worked by going to trade shows, meeting with factories, getting to know the way purchasing worked, getting to way to know the dollar worked against the Chinese yuan and things like that. But it's literally been 25, 30 years of doing that. I started doing that really in the mid 90s, to take you back that far in my career.
You
Now,
did
when I
it
talk
at the
about,
correct time.
yeah, yes, I did. And it's an amazing place. China is still an amazing place to get to. I consider myself incredibly privileged to have spent and continue to make trips over to Hong Kong and mainland China. It's an amazing place to see when you begin to understand that every product in the world somehow has something to do with being manufactured in China. You really get to appreciate the process and what goes on between developing products, tooling products, manufacturing products, shipping them. We drive by these big container yards here. We wonder, how do these things fit into our lives? And we know they fit into our lives because all of the products that sit on the shelves in Target and Walmart and CVS and Rite Aid, and if you're in the UK and places like Boots and all these different places, they all emanate a huge percentage, a huge majority of them from China or India or overseas.
Believe it or not, I was going to say that manufacturing, is very hard to do. And when you sat up there and said what you said when you were talking about how you went and you begged them to come over, to have you go over China, that is, I understand. I would do the same. And I always said in my first a year ago that I would love to build the perfect hairpiece, the perfect hairpiece. Not the hairpieces that they put out for modern days, but the perfect hairpiece for the new future of artificial intelligence to help us with it. And I know China is probably working on that. If they can build their own sun, contain a sun, they're definitely smart as crap. And then you got Taiwan with the microchips, and yeah. So wow. How does it feel? Is it an honor? I know you said it was, but explain, like, when you first got that. I know you heard no's, but when you first got that yes, how did you feel?
Oh, listen, it was pretty amazing. I was working for a Fortune 1000 company, and an opportunity came up, and someone said, "Do you think you can help with this?" And I said, "Listen, my current company is probably not the right one to do this, but if you give me a couple of days, let me see if I can come back to you with an answer." And I went out and I pitched this new company idea to a guy that I knew had the resources to back me for a few months. And within 3 weeks, I was on a plane, on Cathay Pacific Airways to Hong Kong, and I was over there for first trip for about 3 weeks, working with factories, working with agents, getting to understand the culture, understanding how Hong Kong played into it, attending the biggest trade shows in the world, where again, all these products and all these companies and all these buyers and resources come together to manufacture, build, and market the products that you see in every store that you walk into around the world. It's fascinating. And for me, it was and still is. Now, I haven't traveled over there because of COVID over the last few years, but I can't wait to get back again because to me, it's just such an honor and a privilege to get to do that. And I know that when I do, I'm doing something that 95% of the world will never get to do. I'm seeing sites that most people will never even dream of seeing. And every time I go, I consider it an absolute thrill and privilege to be there. It's an amazing place.
And like you said, what you do with networking, you sit up there and you've networked, like you play, everything to me is not a game, but you play your life, should I say, your life well. You sat up there and you got to network with some special people all overseas. And obviously, with the way their government is formed, if they didn't like you and they thought you were suspicious, you would not have flourished in it. So obviously they like you, and obviously it's worthwhile. So yeah, they got the Great Wall of China too, and that's an amazing thing. I wish, so tell me, how can the people find you? Because I don't want to, go over the limit.
Oh my goodness. And listen, we can always have a follow up as well. Listen, my website is called alwaysbeencreative.com. So just spell it out, always, BEEN, creative.com. You can reach me here on Instagram. It's Glenn with two N's, underscore RUDIN, underscore message, underscore master. You can write to me directly, Glenn at alwaysbeencreative.com. Listen, I love meeting people. I love creating connections on deeper levels with people. And I love introducing people to one another. I'm not the right person for everybody, and I might not be the right person that you need. But when you get to know me, I've got a network of thousands of people that I know, and you never know who might be the right person I can introduce you to. So, I advise you to reach out, to connect, not just with me, but other people in your network. You've got to be out there. You've got to be meeting people. You've got to be hearing ideas. You've got to be letting people know who you are and what you're about and be authentic in what you're doing. And stay in your lane, stay in your zone of genius. That's what you're good at doing. Don't be distracted by what other people are doing. You figure out what you're good at, and the rest will take care of itself.
Well said. And I truly, it is an honor because I haven't met, like, I've met plenty of people, but nobody that comes from that's traveled lots of distances across the globe, and especially to China. Like, seriously, it is an honor, sir. Like, it is. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's an honor to meet you, and I'm thrilled to be in touch with anybody that you're in touch with. And if I can provide help or coaching or answers to any of those people, the most important thing to me is I never want to see people be taken advantage of. I'm a big, big proponent in anti-bullying. I can't stand that. And listen, when people take advantage of other people, in terms of this kind of work, it's a form of bullying, and I really, really detest it.
And have you seen it in the industry in every arena before?
Oh my God, goodness, of course, right? We see it every day, right? We see it on social media. We see it in neighborhoods. We see it in videos that get posted all over the place. Of course, that happens all the time. It's an unfortunate part of our world that we live in, that there are bullies out there. But, let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the people who are willing to help. Let's look at the people who do provide great services, and let's keep looking to them and inspiring them to do great things.
Thank you so much. And you all take care. Y'all be safe. I'll be back on here to talk politics. I'll be back on here to talk politics, but as far as everything else goes, this is a brilliant, smart, entertaining, funny person, Glenn Rudin. Thank you.
Kimberly, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you again down the road. I'm glad this experiment worked out for us. You have a great day, and I'm sure you and I will be in touch.
One last thing, stay on the line. You can stay on Instagram, but I'm gonna log off of most of my platforms, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, you all.